Yes, hello.
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 We forgot to talk about the Chocobo music last week.
Oh, wait,
We
I forgot to talk about
all the music last week.
There's literally a Chocobo song, and it's not heavy metal Chocobo or whatever the one from the sequel is.
Yeah, you do not have to ride that chocobo.
It's called Chasing Dreams.
It's really good.
It's really cute. I really like
cute,
it.
yeah.
They add vocals to the classic melody of the Chocobo song that we all know and love.
Mm.
I'm a chocobo and I'm real fat. I think
Did y'all used to do that during like NES games back in the day? Like when you were little, like when you were playing a video game, you'd like add your own words to a song.
Mm-hmm.
I like how you say used to, as if I'm not still regularly doing that constantly about everything.
I still say Charmander, Squirtle, and Bulbasaur.
Yeah, usually I just sing about my three cats to varying things.
Mm-hmm.
Like let's see, like I guess I'll do the victory fanfare since Alex just did that. It's like fish has some real big dumb stinky paws. Like it's just completely stream of conscious. I can just sing about my cats all day.
Wait, was I see a silhouette of a cat? It's the goose. It's a goose.
Yes,
yeah.
but of course we are the Every FNFF podcast. I'm Carl.
Allegedly. I'm Curtis.
Oh, I'm Alex. I forgot the order.
No, we switched it up.
Our party has switched
Yeah.
since the beginning of the game.
Luckily, that won't be happening pretty much ever again. Where, we just lost a team member, so now, our
R.I.P.
team grows
Saz.
smaller. R.I.P. to Saz. Everybody misses you a whole lot.
A real one.
I definitely have things to say about that this week. A revision of what I said about it last week. But yeah, we last we left off, there was that very powerful scene with Saz and Vanille after Saz realized the truth of everything
Wonderful
that Vanille
scene.
said.
They did the whole funeral march when Jar Jar was there.
Yeah. But now we're with the fun gang. We're with the fun parents at the weekend house that, they got carpeting in the basement that doesn't, flood and get carpet mushrooms and stuff. So we're there's some pizza rolls in the
house.
oven. We're so, yeah, true.
It's the old pothole.
They bought us a 2-liter of Pepsi.
Yeah.
We're allowed to stay up until 2 a.m.
It's going to be real good. But yeah.
Yeah, we open up in a beautiful cutscene, or I guess it's a broadcast, right? Because
yeah, there's like a reporter talking, right?
Yeah, we get this kind of
true.
flyover of the Palamecia, the beautiful ship, which we actually may have seen
We have seen the Palamecia.
on Brescia, the one with the CD wings.
Yep. This is the same one from Lake Brescia. Also, I read in the data log the other time we've seen it. We've actually seen it twice. And I had to go back and watch cutscenes to see if it was true. And it is true. This is the ship that was carrying the vestige in the hanging edge.
Cool.
Yeah.
I thought you were going to
We've seen it twice
say
now.
there was a point where we brought it up on the podcast, but we called it the Lindblom, and I think you corrected us, and you're like, "You fucking idiots! It's not the Lindblom."
No.
Or I thought it might have been in the background during like the Star Wars chase because we see like Eden in the background. Those all the little details.
That could be as well, maybe. I'm not sure. But at least those 2 times. We saw it parked in Lake Brescia, and it was carrying the vestige.
If you look closely in every chapter, you can see it somewhere. You just got to look real hard. It's a cool little Easter egg. They definitely added
yeah,
into
it's
this
like
game.
the little frogs in Metal Gear Solid 3. You have to like
Yeah.
spot every one of them, and at the end you get Lightning's stealth camo.
It's like the bobbleheads in Resident Evil remake.
Yeah,
Resident Evil
that's
2
right.
Remake.
But yeah, we see a beautiful flyover of the Palamecia, the gold and silver Avengers looking at ship, but it's quite larger. We see a few ships actually around it, I think are equivalent of the ones that Snow and Fang, we first saw them on, but just to kind of give you a sense of scale, it just shows you how much bigger this is.
Yo,
Yeah, it's
the
nuts.
Palamecia is a big boy.
It doesn't look very big, but until you see it next to like the equivalent of like the Celsius or whatever that we were on last time.
The Kelvin.
But we hear a reporter saying like, "There she is, the Palamecia, pride of the Sanctum Skyfleet. This mighty flagship currently serves as a prison of the lessee apprehended in Nautilus." I love that. The little tour.
It does other shit too, but
and if you look on your right, like it's just like the prison.
Yeah, that's like if you threw someone in the brig on a on like a military ship or something, and then you just only called it like, this is a floating prison. It's like, no, it just has that function. Like,
Oh, I thought they were saying you're throwing the brig and then like a campus tour is coming through, and here's the brig.
Here's the prison.
look to your right, you'll see the lessee who will
Everybody
be
wave.
publicly executing. Don't get too close to him, or we might have to execute you too.
And we realize that the characters are watching this report on some PSTV shaped screen.
I was about to say it looks like a
definitely shaped like a
PSTV.
PSP. Like,
The PSTV, like the 3D television, because it has like the same like shape. You have one of those, don't you?
I do. Where is it? It's
right behind you.
me.
Yeah.
oh, is that what that is? I feel like
there.
I've been saying that looks like a PSP for like weeks now, and it actually is
Yeah.
the PSTV. Yeah.
Now, I find the rest of the scene incredibly interesting, so please describe it while I go pick up my Uber Eats at the door. I got McDonald's. I'll be right back.
The team is basically, it's like the hangar is where Snow was being interrogated, I guess, quote unquote,
Yeah.
by Reigns when we first met Reigns. Which is, it's basically looks like it's a hangar, but it's also like an airport terminal because there's just televisions everywhere.
Also, I feel like we kind of knew already, like what Sid Rain's deal was, but we do get a little bit of confirmation here that he is in fact based.
He is extremely based and cool.
He's like
as
very
hell.
cool. Which, like, in my Final Fantasy brain, I'm like, no, that can't be right. He's a Sid. He has to be fucked up somehow. They're all fucked up.
It's funny too, thinking back to the episode where we talked about him. I think that was the one with Mutski on, right? And
Yeah, we were just like, is this guy good or not? He seems like he keeps tricking us around.
yeah, he keeps like saying that, but it's like
He's
if you
good
look
cop
at it
and bad cop.
now that we know, and we'll get into like why he's cool and why he's based in a
Passive
second.
aggression is too powerful.
But like now that we know he's cool, it's like if you rewatch that cutscene of him being like, "Oh, as like a tainted lessee, of course," or whatever he says, like really kind of like you
Is
can
he saying
take
it
that at the,
facetiously, or
He's-
is he saying?
he is fully irony pilled. He is the online left that is too ironic. So they say something that's
Yep.
so obviously like outlandishly like awful that like the opposition would say that it's like it's funny, but if an outsider hears it, they're just like, oh, they're being like fascist or something. It's like
Right.
Curtis, for the listeners at home, what meal have you summoned?
Is there a McFish, perhaps?
There is, in fact, a fish fillet sandwich
Yes.
on my desk right now.
Is your idol in a fillet of fish?
It's just Ronald McDonald. In times
Ronald
of,
casts doom on Curtis, and he has
in
to.
times of I was gonna say in times of trouble when I'm at my lowest point, Ronald McDonald bursts out of an energy sigil.
you have
and
your
I'm like,
M-shaped brand.
it's just the fucking McDonald's arches. It's a countdown instead of like the eye opening. It's a countdown that just says 1 billion served, and it just goes down. Sorry, Carl.
I was super important what I'm trying to say. In Japan, they have a different name for Ronald McDonald, and it is Donald McDonald.
Donald McDonald.
As we know from Kingdom Hearts, Donald is the most powerful being in all of Final Fantasy lore. He can do Mega Flare.
It all
And since
comes
we
back.
just lost Saz, we're soon going to be encountering Donald Duck on the. We're not on the Palamecia. We're on the Lindblom, I think, or wherever the fuck we are. We're going to
We're on the
encounter him and give him some guns to take the role of Saz, which is cool.
That's right.
Bobbing and weaving.
Bobbing and weaving. But yeah, so they're watching the report. You haven't gone any further, have you?
But yeah, the reporter's still going. Yeah, like
The lessee will face official sentencing upon the convoy's arrival in the capital.
So what's with the freak show?
Oh my gosh!
Yeah,
you know what? It's so funny that you call it like the Marvel Avengers ship is like what the Palamecia looks like, and it makes me laugh every time Carl calls it Joss Whedon moments or whatever. It's like they have all this Joss Whedon dialogue and like, oh, it's thick in this chapter.
Yeah. Also, like, just Snow's body language for that. Like, when he's like, so what's with the freak show? He's like moving his shoulders a bunch, like real, like, community theater, like, overacting shit.
he's just like doing like a little. He's jabbing in the air in front of him, just. But yeah, Rain says. So the Primarch can stand in judgment of the villainous lessee with their execution as the climax. The people will cheer their demise, and Falsi's dominion will be undisputed. So it's just like making an example of the lessee on like it's, as we said before, like execute them to kind of prove their point that list that you're dangerous.
It's a win-win situation for them. Like,
so the important parts here is that the reporter goes on to kind of say that, the Primarch Daisley has actually boarded the Palamecia, so he's on board. And the party kind of realizes that, like, they're baiting us. They're like, they have our friends on the ship. They're putting the Primarch on the ship. Like, they're putting everything there. They clearly want us to come.
Tom Hardy gif from Mad Max.
That's bait.
Yeah. So they're clearly baiting us and everything. And then Lightning and Snow both are just like, let's go get her. Actually, Snow, I guess mainly, is just like, well, if they're daring us to mount a rescue, I'll take that action all in.
So good.
And then Kurt Russell's here.
Winter Soldier.
Yeah, Winter Soldier. Yeah, I'm sorry. What's the Winter Soldier's name?
Sebastian Stan or something?
Okay,
I'm going to call him the Winter Cowboy because he just sounds like Sid.
Oh my god, he sounds like Sid. Alrighty, bits are on the table. We'll leave when you're ready.
This motherfucker's name is actually Sebastian Stan. That's great. I've known that. Like my sister-in-law, like the one who helped get me into Final Fantasy, she's a big fan of his, has a picture of her when she is pregnant and wearing like a Captain America shield shirt over her belly, has a picture with him. Like, she loves him so much. But I'm also like the whole Stan culture that comes from Eminem's Stan song.
Oh,
and
yeah.
shit. But I'm just like, damn, this guy is like, there are people who are Sebastian Stan Stans, which is confusing to me, to my old man brain.
Stan squared.
He looks a little bit also like maybe one of the Dantes in like the new Devil May Cry series too.
Yeah.
See a little bit of that. Anyway, a rugged
Cool,
type.
handsome guy.
Now, so once that's over, we're in control of Lightning, and we can kind of walk around the.
It's weird. Every single party member is like extremely far away from each other.
Yeah.
This is not how I hang out with my friends. I don't like hang out on opposite sides of the room and just like.
This was developed during COVID, so of course this is like when we were recording in person and we went to the practice space and sat very far away from one another.
We're basically in an airport like terminal, and like everyone's at a different gate. Alone.
Everyone's at a different like baggage claim.
That's what it looks like. It looks like there's like escalators that go down to the ships or something like that. They're probably not escalators, but they're lit up like they're escalators.
Yeah, there's some really fun details in the background as well. Like there's just like generic like machinery or like airships kind of things.
Yeah, the Star Fox ships. Or
but there's like one guy who's just like sitting near one and working on it. Like, and I'm just like, what's that dude?
He's bypassing the compressor to make it go fast.
He's sticking his tongue between the beams and
God, that scene gives me nightmares. Not because of the tongue thing, but because it has 2 shots of Jar Jar without CG. So it's just like a human, like practical effects Jar Jar hands.
Really?
Oh,
I had no idea. But we're able to talk
anyway,
to
we get
Sid.
the trophy Instrument of Wrath, and then we can walk along.
But we can talk to Sid and our party members here, and I like one like very small detail when you talk to Sid. I guess because Lightning is in the military and Sid is in the military, he refers to her as Sergeant Farron, and I was like, I haven't heard that yet in the game. That's kind of interesting.
And I can't remember when we were with Lightning's based commanding officer in Bodom.
Yeah.
I think he probably called her by her title. Was she a sergeant then? I'm wondering if like
officer. I think she was still an officer, but maybe like I was going to write a letter of recommendation or whatever. Maybe it's just like Star Wars again, where like just because you're part of the team now, and they're like it's like they were calling Han Solo General, even though he's just like some guy. Like like you're probably.
I kind of assumed that this was like a title that was given to her by like this fleet, where they're like not. She wasn't a sergeant in the Guardian Corps, but now that she's here, they're just like, well, you're already
a sergeant, if I remember
she
right.
Might have been.
But I could be wrong though. I really don't recall.
Yeah.
Let me look it up.
Yeah, but I thought that was kind of cool.
Yeah, I like that.
Respect.
I like that they have that like business relationship with each other.
Like we were saying, there's multiple different members of our party here. And they're spread very far apart, and you can talk to each of them like 3 times until they start repeating dialogue, which I didn't realize when I first talked to Snow. So I only got his first.
It says she's formerly sergeant of Bodom Security Regiment, so who knows?
Yeah, well, I mean, she also did immediately quit, like.
Yeah.
With all the stuff with Sarah.
The green metallic pattern over her left shoulder bearing yellow stripes denotes her previous rank as sergeant. Okay.
Okay, so I think she's always been that. Because I was wondering that too. I'm like, oh, if she's sergeant now, are they just going to like remove her pauldron and put on the one with like more stripes or whatever?
Give her a second one like...
Sid's like, God damn it, Farron, you talk back to me one more time, I'll bust your ass down to sergeant fast. So fast your head'll spin.
I already am sergeant.
I like that Hope gives us some closure on his dad.
He does. Yeah, I like that.
He's like, my dad's all right. Another cavalry unit rescued him and moved him somewhere
Mommy's
safe.
all right. Daddy's all right.
I kind of wish I could talk to him, but I guess I have to make my own choices now.
Yeah.
And so as
Good
we
news.
suspected,
Yeah.
probably escorted out from...
Which I think we kind of assumed was the case when we saw him, like the soldiers around him and stuff, because it would not have, there's no universe where that would have acted, like that would have gone well for him if it wasn't.
Yeah,
like,
they said they were
friendlies.
selling the story that he was taken against his will, so he probably has, he's not going to be grilled or, held to treason or whatever.
Yeah, but SciComm also loves shooting civilians, so I think even that they would have been like, oh, you're too close to him, blap.
You wouldn't shoot a guy with glasses.
But once we're ready, we can talk to Rigdia, or the Winter Soldier, as we've been calling him, and he shows us to the vessel we're going to be taking, like the ship we're going to be taking over to the Palamecia, which is a SciComm vessel, right? So they're betting that, like, okay, we'll fly a SciComm one over there. They'll think it's one of their own, and we'll be able to dock. It's very Star Wars Episode 4.
It looks
Yeah.
a lot like the ship that we took off from the mall from. What was it called again? The Gates of Antiquity.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah.
At least the front, the cockpit has the same shape.
Do you want to talk about what Sid says and why he confirms that he is the most based?
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
'Cause he kinda just-
Yeah, I don't have it on my...
Sid kind of just tells us like the plan coming up, like, oh, they're watching us, but like while they're busy watching the Lindblom, you guys are going to sneak on board and like take care of it. When the time is right, our brigade will launch an all-out assault to back you up. And you're like, sick. Like, obviously he's already like our homie.
Sergeant Farron, it is essential that you capture the Primarch alive. We need his testimony to convince the people of the Sanctum's true nature. Once people learn of the Fal'Cie deception, it should ease some of this Pulsian panic. With luck, we can avoid the loss of any more civilian lives in the name of this Lassie hunt.
I'm like, yeah, my boy.
Yeah, like he is just fully planning, like, and he talks about it even further. He says, the Sanctum has raised its citizens like livestock under the orders of the Fal'Cie Eden. Like, he is done with their fucking bullshit. That all ends today. We will topple the Sanctum and hand the reins of government to the people. So, like, that's a fucking sick plan. Like,
Based.
I'm sure it'll work out perfectly. I'm sure the Primarch is absolutely going to come willingly and be like,
this is the
oh yeah,
final
by the
chapter
way,
in the game, right?
I am a huge criminal, and I've been lying to everyone who everyone worships me and believes in me, and anything I say will sway them. So,
Chapter 10, the final chapter, is a court proceeding. And everything goes swimmingly.
One of my favorite things that Snow says before we get on the SciComm ship is that he mentions Daisley, and he goes, that guy's a sorry excuse for a Primarch. He probably just does whatever the Fal'Cie tell him to do. There's no way we'll lose to a poser like him. And I was like, poser? Snow, my boy.
so good. He's such a phony, dude.
It's such a phony.
Big fat phony.
Yeah.
I like how Fang just talks about like the plan, and she's saying how like they're gonna bring down the Sanctum, and she's like, that's payback for them trying to kill us. Like, I love that. Yeah. She says that like, oh, when we do this, like, this will pay back Reigns for like the kindness that he gave me, and also it'll be one in the eye for the Sanctum. Like, that's their reward for trying to kill us.
I love it.
Yeah, like what's with the whole ranking system anyway? You cocoon folks sure like your rules and regulations.
Yeah, she does say that, yeah.
Because she's like, yeah, Reigns is a brigadier general and you're a sergeant. Like, this whole ranking system, like, yeah, based Fang being an anarchist, being like, we don't need hierarchy.
Explains why you've put up with the Sanctum's nonsense for so long.
Yeah. Get him.
It's like, yeah, your systems.
Blah, blah.
But yeah, when we're ready, we can hit up Riggia.
Yeah.
Riggia? Rigdia.
Rigdia.
I'm just call him Rigby. Rigby's like, this baby back here is a SciComm vessel. It'll deliver to the Palamecia. And Snow's like, oh, we're cargo now.
Yeah.
And so I think it's like the idea is that we're kind of supposed to be like
stowaways on this ship, yeah.
But Riggia is like, a parting gift to a rotting government. Take those SciComm guys apart. But yeah, Lightning is like, if we're supposed to take on all of them, I think the whole division's on board.
Fang says, I don't care how many lackeys they've got, bring them all on.
Yeah, Vanille's in there.
Yeah,
Well, I guess
Vanille's
if
in there.
the Space Pope is there, like, of course they're going to be pretty locked
Yeah.
down, pretty thick with, like, all the security and stuff.
It is fortunate for our party members that there just so also happens to be a coup going on at the same time as like our adventure.
Yeah, I was
Oh, how
thinking about that
fortunate.
too, where I'm like, okay, so for Sid, this is like has been his plan. Like he came to, we didn't win him over into our side. He was like,
Right.
no, this Fal'Cie shit doesn't add up. I am going to like use my position to try and bring democracy to the people of Cocoon, like take it back for the people of Cocoon. And it just so happens it's very lucky for him as well that he has this like super overpowered party of 6 Lassie to join him and shit, where like I want to play the Sid Reigns game where you're kind of going through, and this is like the third act of his game, and it's just like, it really helps us out that now we have these super overpowered things. Like it's his version of getting an Eidolon.
Well, I did. So I haven't announced this on the podcast, although I said it in the Discord. I was at a Barnes and Noble recently, and they had the Final Fantasy 13 like books. They're like the novelizations, and so I did buy them. So maybe there is like the
I'm
Reigns
sure there is,
story in
like,
there. I have no idea.
Far more interesting than the Reeve story. I assume I still haven't.
Oh,
read
I
more
bought
than
that
chapter
too.
one. Yeah.
But yeah, Hope says like in response to Fang about Vanille, like I'm sure she's fine. Vanille's tougher than I could ever be.
Yeah. And
And Lightning's like, hey, Hope, are you scared? Like, yeah, I'm terrified, but I'll be okay. Because I have you. And this guy, like talking to Snow. Like, I love this, like,
Snow.
yeah. I have you and this guy and Fang, and we're all in this mess together. Like we just got to stick together. And then Rigby is just like, yeah. Enough with the bonding. Like let's go. Like it's go time. And as that's happening, like we see our teammates walking by, and Snow kind of walks off. You can't quite see it; it's a little out of the frame, but it looks like he like tussles Hope's hair.
Yeah.
Somebody's like, hey, what do you mean this guy? And they both laugh, and it's like, oh, they're friends. now.
Yeah, they're friends again. I love it.
yeah, this whole crew. This does feel very like final like showdown.
The final
Showdown with Sin.
But we see are we on the Limbo? Yes, we're on the Limbo. Okay, so yeah, our fleet, our ship takes off, and then we cut over to a cutscene with our good friend Jill and the Primarch.
Yep. So they're on
Mommy
like
Nabot.
the bridge of the Palamecia, right?
Yeah.
And like
so it's like the control room.
around them are several of the what would you call it, like the staff, I guess, that are like actually flying the ship.
The way they're communicating makes it feel like NASA, like the whole like.
Oh,
it's just-
sure.
yeah, they're just monitoring all the operations in different parts of the ship, probably.
The Primarch is sitting on a giant white throne that's surrounded by space oboes and clarinets. It's incredible.
Yeah, space bagpipes just sticking out.
yeah, that's right.
Yeah, but Nabot says, we didn't expect to see you here in person, Your Eminence. Like, which is interesting because as soon as we heard that, like, our party was just like, oh, it's a trap. It's definitely a trap. Like, they're baiting us. Like, they're just throwing it in our face. Like, this is obviously a trap. And at this point, I was just like, but what if it isn't a trap? Like, what if they don't have their shit together and we get there and it goes off?
We got so lucky.
Yeah, we're like, these fucking idiots just fell right into our hands. But the Primarch says,
This crisis threatens the entirety of Cocoon, my child. You agree that standing at the fore is a leader's charge?
Wholeheartedly.
It also affords a splendid view of the impending execution.
Yeah, so there.
But then we pan over to like I guess one of the I don't know, control guys on one of the computers, and we hear Ridge's voice like over the radio comms, basically just like heckling him, like let him on.
Yeah, he's like, "What's the holdup? Why won't you let us on?" And they're like, "We have to verify your identification code." And he's like, "You better let me land this bird, or I'll crash her into your ass." Like, it's like real goofy.
This is like, very un-Star Warsy, where like they're used to trying to like hold their breath, like I think accept our like key code to let us through the barricade. But this one, he's just like, "You better fucking let us in."
Was it TK421 or whatever? No, wait, that was the stormtroopers number, right?
it's
the
not
TK421.
it's not Han Solo being like, I'm good. How are you?
Yeah.
Like it's an old key, but it's valid, sir, or whatever. Like, yeah, it's just
That's right. That's yeah.
It happens a lot, but either way,
So
they scan the ship in a very silly way. There's like two like what are they, R-wings in Star Fox that like fly next to it and have these beams just like triangulating out of them that scans the machine, and it just says
like twin pod cloud cars in Empire Strikes Back.
but yeah, they say code verified, you're free to dock. Like that seems like a lot of work to get a thing verified. And
Yeah.
it doesn't work because they're clearly not like supposed to be verified.
Well,
Unless it is a trap.
I wonder because like I'm gonna go ahead and move on to the next scene to
please.
ask my question, because the fucking second that the ship like touches down on like the dock, immediately there's a code red alarm and it's like, attention all crew, this is not a drill, code red, and a bunch of like SciComm soldiers come out, and I was like, maybe it didn't work. Maybe they did identify us as like, oh, yo, those are the Lassie. We should just let them on board and kill them. Especially
with the conversation with the Primarch talking about like the front row seats for the execution or whatever. Like they probably are aware, and they're just like, yeah, like we're getting ready for it. Like,
well, they didn't go in uniforms. That's the problem. They all just like walked off the ship.
They just walked onto the ship. Like,
they're just waving at the ship like they just got dropped off at soccer practice.
Yeah. Like I almost imagine like that the alarm would take several more seconds because whoever's like monitoring that camera would see it and be like, there's no way. They wouldn't just walk on in their normal clothes that we've seen them in, right?
Like we broadcast them in those exact outfits to the entire fucking planet. Like
like they wouldn't.
We're kind of on a suspended, like, it's almost like a landing platform came out from below the Palamecia for us to land on, and we just kind of hopped onto it.
Yeah.
And so we're still kind of like above nothing. We're just like on a giant like platform that lowered.
Oh, can I say, I know I think I've said this before on here. I know I've said it on VG Drafts before, but my favorite type of stage or world in a video game is the sky level. Those are always my favorite. Love those. In Mario stages, Cloud World, love them. So this whole area is so up my alley, because while we're fighting on this platform, we can just see the fucking clouds going by and like the ground below us. It's amazing.
And
I wish the backgrounds were a little more motiony, because like in certain areas, like the skybox is really nice, like buildings and stuff. But when you're just like in the sky like this, like, that's just a painted on cloud because nothing's moving.
It does look really nice though.
It does look nice. Throughout this level, you actually notice like even during certain fights, there's ships that are flying, but they're just frozen in the air with the vapor trails behind them, so they're just stuck there in midair.
I did not notice that.
They didn't even like try to put like low poly versions or like a little GIF in the background. They
would it kill you to add a little fucking parallax scrolling here? Come on.
Even Mario World had parallax scrolling.
But yeah, we immediately just kind of get into a fight, and it's pretty funny. Snow is like, oh yeah, like he's gung-ho to start fighting. And
I think this is our first time fighting this rank of SciComm, the ones that were hanging out with Jill with the red and squinty eyes.
I think you're right, yeah. There definitely is a difficulty spike here, we should say, right off the bat.
This battle's a little slower too, because we haven't been able to set our paradigms, and it only gives us 3 options, and only I think like one of them is full attack.
Yeah.
So I was just like, well, no ATB refreshing for me.
Yeah, but yeah, Snow's just like, yeah, let's tear him up, and Lightning's just like, dude, we're here for Vanille and Saz, stay focused, and then do this fight. It's 3 SciComm guys. They do have an interesting thing that we can talk about. With their mana drives, they can cast status ailments against us. They can cast Fog, and they can cast Pain. And these fucking suck.
I actually don't know what they do exactly.
So Fog is...
It's like Pocket Sand and the Noogie.
Fog will make it so that if it is on your party member, they cannot use magic. And Pain makes it so that your party member cannot use attack. So it's a really good way to neutralize either Commando or Ravager. Like at one point I was just standing there with Lightning, and I thought like the game was bugged because like Attack and Blitz were just grayed out. I could only use Ruin. And I was like, what is going on? Like I'm trying to attack with Lightning. Like at this point battles are kind of just muscle memory. You don't necessarily pay a ton of attention. So I was just like spamming X and nothing was happening. I'm like, what the fuck's going on? And then I think Zwanzig was in my chat, and he's just like, oh no, you got Pain, or you got like Fog or whatever. And I was like, oh my god, this sucks.
I want to just let you know that I went to my Google search bar and I typed in FF13 space Fog, and the first result that came up, or the first suggested search, is FF13 really that bad? That doesn't even have the word Fog in it.
The answer is no. It's good, actually.
Last week I was like looking up something and like I came across a thread where someone was just complaining about the about Saz's jazz music. I'm like, is there any way to turn off the music? This music sucks.
What?
It's like, you fool, you coward.
What an unbased take.
It's like, I thought we were supposed to be killing stuff. Like, what's this little like this elevator music? Like, it's called tonal contrast. It's art.
I know, that's wild.
I just imagine the Venture Brothers henchmen arguing with each other about if Papa Smurf is a mammal or if Smurfs lay eggs. So like, it's just me arguing about it's called a tonal shift. I'm also thinking about the meme where it's just like someone says something.
She's the only lady. That implies a hive.
That implies a
She's the
species
queen.
that would lay eggs. But yeah, it also makes me think of the meme of like the just unrelated thing, and then it's just like guy who recently modded his 3DS, and it's like, actually, you know that modding your 3DS is actually super easy. And it's like that, but for Final Fantasy 13, it's just like everyone's just like, yeah, Final Fantasy 13 actually sucks, and it's like, no, like
I know.
shut up, no.
But I will say after we're done with this battle, because we've been playing, Saz and Vanille for a while. And we've been doing the last chapter with several different characters. There's a lot of unused Crystarium points.
Oh, yeah.
And so you get to do a lot of leveling very quickly. And one of my favorite things to see, favorite things and then not favorite things, is that I went to Snow's because he had just a shitload of points. And I was like, yo, this dude has like 15 fucking Sentinel skills. Let's go. And so I just started learning all these Sentinel skills. Like, oh my God, incredible. Get to the end. Realize that we can't change party members yet. And so even though Snow is with us this whole chapter, he is unplayable. I was like, what? He's right there.
That's what I find really funny. Like at one point much later on in this chapter, like they show a cutscene after we fought our way through an entire area with Fang, Hope, and Lightning. And then Snow is like running behind, like with us all. And I was like, oh yeah, Snow's there. I forgot.
Yeah, I forgot Snow
he's just
was
like,
here.
yeah, we're going to fuck him up. We'll tear this up. We're going to fucking shake the pillars of heaven. And then he does nothing.
He does nothing the whole time.
My work here is done.
It sucks too because I want him in this part. Like he's got some very useful skills that would be very happy in a lot of these upcoming battles that are very difficult.
Now after Palamecia, like Lightning and Fang are just very protective of Hope, maybe.
Yeah. And one another because they have fallen in love in my head.
So I like that Fang and Snow both have Commando and Sentinel, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, and they're kind of similar characters in a way. They're both like the buff members of the party. They're both kind of tougher than everybody else, right? But I like to me, it just seems a little bit of an implication that Snow doesn't have Saboteur or Synergist because he's just the dumb guy.
Yeah.
And so it's like, no, make big numbers. Like, make numbers big or make numbers small. That's all that matters. And, like, that is a play style for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Where, like, Fang has, like, Saboteur, so she's a little crafty. And I was like, ooh, that is kind of like her personality. So I like how, like, the roles still match their personalities.
Yeah.
It's very cool. And the game did a really good job of gradually building us to this point where now we're pretty well, like we know the paradigm system pretty well, and now we're kind of seeing the limitations of it, and there'll be certain points where you're in a battle and you're like, oh shit, I wish I had this combination of roles right now for this specific instance. And like it's cool how it just kind of organically teaches you like all these systems, because it's like, oh, it would be really nice if I had Ravager with Fang, but I don't. So, we can work with what we have, but it makes certain situations coming up very interesting.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's easing us into it, and I really like it. But
oh, you know what? Can I say, I apologize. I want to go back real quick and say a thing that I forgot to say while we were still in the Lindblom. Last one, I promise. Last
Sure.
Lindblom thing. Snow does have a moment where he says, well, we can't just charge in without a plan.
That's
and
right.
I said, my boy. I wrote that in my notes, and I was like, there's my boy. Love this guy.
I think he also calls himself out a little bit. He's like, let's.
He says, look at me talking strategy. I'm like, well, that's not really strategy, but you know what? You're coming along. I appreciate it.
To Snow, the very concept of a plan equals strategy.
Yeah. Master tactician.
using big words like strategy. And
Yeah.
But yeah, so we can't get into the ship through like the doors that we're planning to walk through.
I do like that. That's like the plan too. They're like, all right, well, if we can't kill him, we can just lock him outside. And like, damn, that actually is very effective.
Yeah, absolutely. Unless you have lightning on your team, because she just kind of jumps up onto like various different like components of the ship and does all kinds of flips and stuff and lands on a little platform. And I was like, yo, sick. And then I'm like,
yeah, it looks like a cargo crane because there's giant hooks and like some utility platforms on it. And cables.
And I was like, oh, okay, cool. Like she's going to bring down like an elevator or something and get the rest of the team up there and stuff. And because my first thought was, how the fuck is Hope supposed to get up there? And no, we're just on the platform with everyone. We made it on up.
They just throw him up there like the end of Advent Children.
Yeah, Fang just picks him up and fucking hoists him and throws him into the air. And lightning catches him.
I remember Hope in like a little baby Bjorn or something.
But yeah, now we get some like consoles that we can activate that like they activate some different ways of platforming around. Like it brings down a bridge that we can now cross, and we get into kind of this section where we can make progress.
Yeah, this is a little tiny area here, but I really, really like this real quick transition, right? Between the
inside of the ship
deck and the inside of the ship, yeah. Because like it does feel like we're up in the mechanics of it. And like walking through catwalks and like areas where you would like service and perform maintenance on this dock. And I thought that was very, very cool.
Yeah, we're taking the outdoor freight elevator to make our way in secretly.
But then we're out on like floating platform land.
Yeah.
Which now this is video gaming.
Now this is video gaming. As soon as we leave that area, like it basically leads to a hallway. And that hallway pops us outside on, let me think about it, the ship's left. The port side. I think about that for a second.
Passenger side doors.
The passenger side, yeah. So it pops us out on the port, and there are just like video game platforms outside of the ship.
Yeah. It goes from feeling very like natural to being like, oh yeah,
it's like, oh, this is very gritty and realistic and well, like I feel like the world building is really good. And then it's like floating platforms, baby.
Which they try to justify. They try to justify it.
You could have just given us like a block that makes a beanstalk that we climb up like in Mario and cloud level.
They attempt to justify it a little bit by showing that they're smaller, like single person ships dock out here and then get re-energized and then fly off again.
Yeah, so, like, exactly. Hope also mentions that, I think, if you walk to one side of it.
This is like the pit for...
yeah, it's like the pit in NASCAR or whatever, yeah.
The way that we got down here is so strange, too. We talked about that hallway that, like, when you're running down the hallway, it just looks like you're about to get on an airplane, but the airplane isn't there, so it's just, like, the sky out there. And I just immediately thought of Dumb and Dumber when Lloyd is just running to try and give Mary the briefcase back, and like the woman at the terminal is just like, sir, you can't go in there, and he goes, it's okay, I'm a limo driver, and he like runs out, and then you just see him fall off the jetway and fucking land, and then it goes to the next scene and he's just like, I fell off the jetway again.
But I want to call this a deck because it is covered in deck drones, those little dancing robot things.
Oh yeah.
I didn't have too much problem with them this time. I was able to survive one or two of their kicks.
They're gold this time,
which is very, very stylish. But I didn't find them too challenging. A lot of the outside battles weren't so bad.
Yeah.
There are some enemies in this part. I got a game over a couple of times.
This is a very classic Final Fantasy 13 thing where it starts off in a dribble and then it has a fucking fire hose for you because
at the end,
it lets you get used to the attacks and like the difficulties of certain enemies, and then it shows you different enemies that are hard to fight, and then eventually you're just like, oh well, I hope these two aren't combined in a fight because that would be suck. And then you're like, oh, I know that they're going to be combined and it's really going to suck.
There are some rough combinations.
Because when you approach them, I think they all have the little like alert icon above them, so they're all together.
Yeah, exactly.
You got to fight all these guys. Oh, jeez.
There is another Millerite out here, so in my notes, of course, I did write Miller time.
It is Miller time, and I learned more about the Millerite in that it is essentially useless.
Is it?
Yeah, because it can upgrade. I think like the iron and the bronze bangle.
Okay, I was going to say it's like a transformative item.
Exactly. But the way that it works out, its function is actually more useful if you just sell it and then buy the thing because it's worth more money than the thing that you can transform it into.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, my mouth is full of food again, but this is the last bite.
Curtis.
This will be your last bite if you keep it up.
There's some Psychom Dragoons out here.
Yeah,
which are
these
the
guys
jetpack dudes, but they're red.
on their own, not too bad, but different permutations of them later become
Dragoon!
very annoying.
Harpoon!
I do like the name Dragoon being used here for these guys.
Oh yeah, I didn't even think about that.
But yeah, their gimmick is that they have those dumb little jetpacks to just have them float ever so slightly off the ground, which you would think like, that's dumb. Why would you, what's the functionality of that? Then you're like, oh right, I can't launch them, which at this point in the game is a pretty big
They can
bummer.
fly anywhere. They just like they arrive from in the middle of nowhere and then like
True,
hover
yeah, that's
where
true.
you can
Yeah.
run into, which happens a lot. You like, oh look, there's nothing ahead of me, and all of a sudden these like 4 of these dudes just come swarming in.
Yep.
I'm like, oh yes.
Now, I did notice some, I don't know if all of them, but at least some of them, you can see them like, not in the background necessarily, but kind of flying around underneath the platforms. If you like take your time to look around, you can be like, oh, there's a couple over there. They're going to ambush me. I don't know if all of them are that way though.
Yeah.
There's an item chest, I think, at the end of one of these platforms where like, oh look, unguarded, and then like just like
This is
that
almost
fucking
too
block.
easy. I have an important thing to talk about right here.
Okay.
After saving at every single save point that I've gotten to across the course of the game, I'm probably saving some additional times here and there. I finally reached the end of the available save states, which I think
Oh, me
Alex
too.
also had that happen. And it's interesting on PS3 because it's save slot 99. And it's not like Final Fantasy X that I was playing where it says like, you have no more save states, like delete some or whatever. It just will not go higher than 99. So I may have already hit this and not noticed it, but I kept noticing I was only 99. So then I was like, okay, I'm just going to save over the save slot 1. And in order to do that, every time I need to scroll all the way down to 1 from 99 and save it.
I think I probably.
Yeah, I had to go into the Steam file and like basically zip it because at first I put it in a folder that said old, but that still like shows up in game. So I had to like.
Okay.
But thankfully, like while the game was still running, I was able to like just put it in a zip file, so I didn't actually read it, and then hit the save terminal and save it as.
That's
like,
very
slot
smart.
one again.
Nice.
Because I like, okay, if I need to go back, I can go back, but I don't want to have to like,
Yeah.
delete any of that shit.
That's a good idea.
I tried overwriting something. It was like it said save failed for me.
Oh, shit.
Really?
And then it said, would you like to cancel? Like, no, I don't want to cancel the save operation. I was getting really freaked out. I'm like, oh no, can I not save? I
no.
went through so many cutscenes to get here.
So many skippable cutscenes.
My stories.
That reminds me, I started, I'm going to try and catching up on PC to our playthrough now just by doing the speed strat. So I've just been reading through the guide, and most of it is just like, skip one cutscene, do this battle and do like this amount of commands, skip one cutscene, skip 2 cutscenes, skip the, and it's like, and it flows really well. The notes are really, really well written because it's literally just like, as you're following along, you're like, okay, now I need to hit start and skip. Now I need to hit start and skip.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Sometimes I hit start too early.
Yeah.
So you gotta wait. We
gotta
gotta wait
wait
for
a
the cutscene. Like,
couple.
oh, I don't want to waste these frames.
Good way to lose time, RTA, Alex.
But yeah, we go through this area. We can eventually it loops around, and we go back inside the ship, right?
Yeah, we have some like platforming that we jump on
Oh, that's
other
true.
ships to get higher to other spots
yeah.
and stuff with the magical glowing little circles that are just like right there to get certain
Yeah.
places. But
I laughed when we came up on like one of the places where I guess it looks like a big series of like just wheels, but it's where one of the ships will just come and dock.
Yeah.
And as we're approaching it, Hope's like, they've got ships parked here. Maybe we can use them. Like, yes, hijack another ship. This will
Yeah.
be great. Like, they won't know what hit them. And we just jump over it. We just use it as a bridge. No, use the ship as a ship, Lightning, you idiot.
I just take the ship to the Primark. It's done.
one of the chests has 3 incentive chips in it, which at this point is extremely nice.
I was gonna say, okay, so since we're fighting like Psychom this whole time, right? They are dropping incentive chips left and right. So I sold all of those this time. I sold some other stuff that I just didn't need or whatever. At one point, I had 69 420 gil, which is sick.
Based.
And I spent all that money this
Nice.
time through. I spent all of it.
What'd you buy?
I bought a bunch of stuff from Creature Comforts, like upgrade material, and I bought a bunch of stuff from I think it's
Lenora.
Lenora's Garage.
Lenora's Garage. I did the same.
So I upgraded my weapons into like the 20s of levels or whatever, and like it is awesome.
Yeah, I didn't
Like,
get
highly
that,
suggest.
I didn't get that far with it, but a lot of my characters had weapons that were really not that helpful here. So I was doing that, and I was buying like certain items and just getting the ×3 multiplier and upgrading as much. I think I got like around like, level 12 to 14 for a lot of them. And I still feel weird because there's no Gil in this game. I guess it's like poor person brain that just lives in my life forever, where I'm just like, I cannot sink below 10,000 Gil. Like, that's a slippery slope, and I need to always at least have my oh shit money just in case.
Right. So the paradigms this time, I just kept lightning, like every single paradigm, with the exception of my like oh shit emergency paradigm, which was med sentinel. I had lightning just being ravager, and that's it. And you can only play as lightning in this section. Like you don't lead
She's
with
the
anybody
party
else.
leader,
Yeah. So I was just like, well, I'm just gonna put all of it into, I think, the blaze fire saber, whichever one has their like better magic or whatever, right?
Oh,
and like,
yeah, that's a good idea.
Yo, she ripped through this section. I fucking put the like a strength one on Fang. I think I put another Ravager or a magic based one on Hope, and I just jacked those bad boys up. I also used the Axis Blade. I actually pushed that one up with lightning. That gives her a little bit of ATB bar.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really know if it's worth it or not. Like,
I have some good information on that.
Okay.
It is not.
Okay.
It is not worth it.
Okay. Because I combined it with the Whistlewind scarf that we get in this section, and she gets an additional skill with it.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Yeah. So she builds for doing a full set of hits, she builds half of one ATB bar, and when you start attacking again, you have one ATB bar ready, or half of one ready to go. What does the Whistlewind scarf do? I forget exactly what it does, but
I
if
think
you
it
put
starts you with
That's
full
right.
ATB charge, and I think if you upgrade
right.
it all the way, it gives you a full bar of ATB, but only when you start the battle.
Got you. And if you combine them, it gives her like a 10 or 15% speed boost. So she has like permanent haste on. It's like it's not quite as fast as haste. It's a little slower, but it is significantly faster than her normal ATB bar.
That actually sounds like it might be worth it, honestly. More worth it than the default.
It's hard to say, I think, to me anyway, it's hard to say depending on if you're constantly using ATB refresh. Because if you're doing something that's very fast, like if she just throws out Blizzard like 4 times or whatever, that's not quite enough time to get the ATB refresh. So you have to sit there for a second and then switch over. But if she does like a move where she jumps up to a launched enemy and does like Spark Strike or something like that, that will take just enough time that you can go ahead and get the ATB refresh, and you can get some more attacks in.
Nice.
And so it is faster that way. So it's hard to say.
It's one of those things that's so like minuscule that it might not really like make a difference either way.
Eventually I just ended up going with the Ravager, just boost the magic attack kind of stuff or whatever. But it was interesting nonetheless. It was fun to play around with and see and kind of be like, okay, so she's attacking a little bit faster now. That's kind of cool. So,
yeah, I remember when I got that item, the Whistlewind or whatever, I was like, oh, that sounds worth it. And Swanzig's like, yes, it sounds worth it, but in practicality, it's really not. In the same way that I was using the Axis Blade and I dumped a bunch of upgrades into it, and it didn't really upgrade all that well. And Swanzig was like, oh my God, dude, the Axis Blade has really terrible stats. And I was like, yeah, this is going to be rough.
Yeah.
Once we re-enter the ship, we do a little cutover to Vanille.
We do.
Vanille, a lonely prisoner. I remember seeing this and being like, did they just like stick her in like a prison with like Saz's corpse, like just laying there, like to boost her morale down even more?
Indeed they did, I guess, sort of.
But here's the payoff from last episode. Literally not 15 minutes later in terms of like gameplay, more or less 20 minutes later. We see Saz's boots. We see a nice shot tilting up to show us that he is just standing there just fucking chilling with his arms crossed and stuff. And I'm like, dude, every good thing I said about like the powerful moment last scene, like why the fuck did they do that? Like the payoff is immediately being like, he's not dead.
Yeah, this is pretty much how I felt about half hour in Rise of Skywalker, like, oh my god, they killed Chewbacca. 2 minutes later, oh, they didn't kill Chewbacca.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
But we cut back to the Fiend Lord's Keep.
Yeah, it shows us what happened there.
Yeah.
But yeah, we get the enough is enough line again with Saz in his dark moment, and we hear the gunshot, and we cut over to the throne, and we see like kind of a sizzling like
Bullet
hole.
hole.
Yeah.
And Saz, like, yeah, he basically flinched, and he didn't go through with it. He drops his guns. Chocobo Chick is relieved, understandably, but Saz is like,
Oh, he's distraught. He feels so bad.
Why can't I do it? I got no reason to keep living. I can't even kill you.
that's a weird thing to say
In
to someone.
I'm such a fucking loser. I can't even fucking kill you.
In the Japanese, he calls her Time, which is like really fucking rude.
Oh wow.
So he's like, yeah, he's not happy with her, clearly.
Yeah, understandably.
Right.
But they get kind of circled by Psycom and Jill, of course, as we suspected because we saw how the last scene ended.
Yeah.
And Jill comes in whacking her baton, which I actually realized in a close-up, the end of it looks like it has like a fountain pen tip. Like this is a very like long pen, maybe. Maybe she just signs things with it. I don't
That's
know.
actually kind of badass. Yeah, like this fucking like baton, and it collapses just into like a fountain pen. It's like Indiana Jones. This is the first movie or whatever where he has that fucking like baton and he breaks it apart and it turns out it's a coat hanger. He puts his jacket on it.
She like whips that out and like puts it under his chin as he's being held back and everything, and she's just like egging him on.
Psychom's restraining them,
Yeah.
so they're all cornered. There's no escape.
She's egging him on in a really fucked up way.
She
says,
she's absolute masochist. Yeah.
Yeah, she says, you should be proud. Your son's a hero. The boy who saved Cocoon will erect a memorial in Eden and put his crystal on display. And Saz is like, a memorial? He's a little boy. And she says, as the son of a pulseless sea, he would have lived in shame and misery. Isn't it better that he be treated with reverence as a monument to sacrifice?
Yeah, and he like kind of freaks out and
He's freaking out. Yeah,
he struggles. He's like trying to rip away from the soldiers. He's like gonna go after Nabad, right? And she fucking hits him with the baton.
Yeah,
And
right.
like
in the neck.
knocks him out.
Yeah,
She does the Fang thing, but with a baton instead, where he'd like it just he slowly passes out with one chop to the
Yeah,
neck.
she hits
Yeah,
the same
yeah.
pressure point that Fang hit.
Yeah.
I think girls just know this skill. This is actually when it hits him in the neck is actually when I saw it has like a little fountain tip.
Okay. And yeah, as he's passing out, she says, "The next time you open your eyes will be the last."
Yeah.
And that's the end of that scene. And we pop up to
So that was a lie.
yeah.
Yeah, because I was thinking, I'm like, why did they wheel him out in a coffin or something? Which, I mean, also, like, why did they?
Turns
they
out
could've
it was
easily
just a
carried
stretcher.
him.
Yeah, that's just a Cocoon stretcher. No big deal.
Yeah, this is just what they had laying around.
So we go back to the scene with Vanille and Saz.
Saz is like, I'm pathetic.
Yeah.
And Vanille's just like, yeah, that's my line. I'm the one who lied to everyone. And Saz is like, forget it. You can't change what's done. Vanille's like, but if I just told the truth, like, now, I've been thinking. You woke up from being a crystal once, which now explains that, like, Vanille has filled him in on the whole, like,
Yeah.
her whole backstory and probably the whole thing with Saz that, like, yeah, he'll come back.
Yeah.
And so Saz has a different tone now.
Yeah, no,
Completely
he's
different.
like, he's kind of hopeful for the future. He's like, oh shit, well, if you woke up, that means Daj will wake up too.
Yeah, he has hope again. It's nice. And
Like, same with the Snow and Sarah. Same thing with everyone's like, cool. Like, there's something to look forward to and something to fight for. Still, it's not all lost.
as he's
Yeah.
saying this, he has a Chocobo Chick in his hand and he's like smiling a little bit. It's real nice.
Yeah.
I like that the Chocobo Chick kind of flies back and forth between.
Yeah.
But he asks her what it was like when she fulfilled her focus, right? And Vanille's
Right.
like, oh, I was chosen. I was made into a Lassie to fight against Cocoon. It happened on Grand Pulse hundreds of years ago. We finished our
Night
focus.
just like tonight.
I think-
No, night just like tonight.
I think, is that the first instance in game of them saying that? Or I can't remember.
They've said you mean Grand Pulse?
No, not Grand Pulse. About the sleep being hundreds of years. Did they specify that specifically yet? Or
They said hundreds of years once before.
Okay, because
at
I was
least,
like,
yeah.
Fang might have, I don't know.
I always get confused because I'm like, I know it says it in the data log like immediately, but
Oh, okay, yeah. But But yeah, so we go back. We see I think we see the moment where they wake up out of their crystal slumber, right?
At least Vanille.
Yeah.
Because the details of how Fang woke up or when she became uncrystallized is kind of unclear at this point.
Yeah, because Fang is already kind of there on the ground.
But we flash back to day one, Bodum.
Day one.
We're in the vestige, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
Well, I love this because this is like the thing that kicks everything off, right? In the 13 days, like this is the inciting event of Final Fantasy 13. I think it's very cool.
Fang has already woken up, or I mean, she's not crystal anymore. She's not woken up, but she's on the floor, collapsed, and we see a close-up of Vanille as a crystal.
Yeah, it just looks like a statue at first, to where I was like, oh, is this like a statue for Shiva or something? And then I was like, oh no, it's Vanille. It's like, obviously.
It's Vanille with like a beautiful kind of like wavy, like kind of watery crystal ribbon kind of flowing around her.
Extremely magical girl.
Yeah, she does reverse magical girl transformation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where we see the crystal start to glow, her form's starting to kind of turn more into flesh and, tasteful light blocking and stuff for decency, and her clothes get beamed back onto her just like Sailor Moon.
Yeah.
And she floats back down onto the floor.
And we get to me, what was a giant plot drop right here or whatever, where Vanille starts talking about like, oh, we woke up on Cocoon to start of a new focus. Fang had forgotten everything. And for me, just the thought of hurting people again was too much. So I lied and said I'd lost my memory. And I was like, oh, Vanille does remember her focus. She actually remembers all that stuff.
She's reverse Titus, dude. She's reverse Titus.
Yeah, this is a whole like, this adds so much context to like every time she's like, just forget our focus. Like, come on, like we don't need it. And because she doesn't want to find it. She doesn't want Fang to like remember.
Yeah, she actually remembers. Oh, it's so good. That's such a good little twist.
She just kept lying from everyone, and all just so she could kind of run. Anyway, she says, and ever since then, I've been running away from it, which is her whole thing. Where like she was just not just to the formerly non-Lissy party, but like to Fang as well when they woke up for their second focus.
I love that. I thought that was such good storytelling.
That's
I was like,
incredibly good.
Yeah. And which means that Fang probably doesn't even know still.
Yeah.
She's the only one in the dark now. I guess the other half of the party, but
it's also really nice because now that kind of, gives our party direction should we all meet up again, where it's like, okay, well, Fang knows what her focus is. We are kind of just shooting blind.
Or Fang doesn't know.
Or not Fang, I mean Hope or Vanille. Jesus Christ.
Vanille knows what her focus is, but we don't know if it's the same as ours.
Right.
Yeah, we don't know that.
It gives us a direction in a way that we haven't had it yet so far.
Yeah. And notably, Fang has that like ashen brand.
Mm-hmm.
And Vanille does not, even though they became crystal together and woke up together, right? That was an interesting piece of it.
Yeah.
Also, I just noted this down in my notes. I was like, oh, it makes sense why she knew where her weapon was. Like when we got to the vestige the first time, she's like, it's behind a statue. I know this. Because I know a little something about statues.
I wonder if it's the same statue that she came from.
That could be, that's a good point, Alex.
If that's like the same pedestal that she was crystallized
so she
on.
found.
I wonder, because in this area, we learn what that weapon's for.
That's true.
And so I wonder if it's just a thing that's in the vestige. And she's like, no, I know where they keep these. It's fine.
Yeah, but I think she probably has that in like day 6 or something, or day 5 at a gorge. Like, because Fang has her weapon.
Right.
So
wait, yeah. How's that possible?
I would have to go back and double check, but it's like we're talking about day 1 here. I think we have seen her with her weapon.
I guess keep a pin in that.
Well, I was going to say in chapter 2, she pulls it. We see her get it, right?
Yeah, exactly. So it might be like she made.
But in day 5, we see her like already owning it.
Yeah,
maybe she has another one. I don't know.
She just hid it in the corner after being brought to the vestige. It was just like, oh, look what I found.
Yeah, exactly.
Definitely haven't had it in my pocket the whole time under my robe.
Right.
Just a magic trick.
Yeah, I was thinking that. It's like a quarter where you're like, oh, there's a quarter in my hand, but it was always there. You were just kind of hiding it.
Yeah, but we switch over to our other party, and luckily Snow is a new man. He's now all about having plans, and he's got a great plan. He kind of just runs up to a wall, like right before a long hallway where
tactical cover.
We're obviously going to have to fight a lot of people, and he just says, let us through, we'll block our way and you die. And Fang says, you trying to get them angry? And Snow's like, I thought maybe they'd run. Like, there's been enough blood spilled. And Lightning's just like, you thought they'd run? Let me refresh your memory. Those soldiers think they're protecting Cocoon from l'Cie. The fal'Cie have them all brainwashed. And Snow's just like, fal'Cie, I've had it. We cannot let this go on.
I can't keep getting away with this.
and then the alarm changes to code green, which I wrote in my notes. I was like, yo, it goes red, green, purple. What kind of what is this?
Yeah.
But then they make fun of it later, so it's fine.
It's Mountain Dew. Code red, code green is going to be the next one. It's going to be like even more powerful than regular Mountain Dew.
And
just say green on the screen too, and so we'll always know that it's code green with more of those PlayStation TVs.
Oh, yeah.
So in this area that we're coming up on right now, there's a couple new enemy types, and one of them is a little annoying but not too bad, and the other one is game over to me more than every other enemy in this entire game combined. So one is the Psycom Huntress, right?
Yeah, God.
So these are like they're cool enemies in that like the first couple turns that they take, they just buff themselves up. They throw like bravery, faith, shell, and protect on themselves, and then start attacking you. So you get a little reprieve at first, but then when they start trucking on you, and they'll fuck you right up.
This enemy is
I thought
bullshit.
that was Psycom Esports, but it was actually Psycom E-Pops is the category.
Yeah. Psycom Esports.
But they look like freaking Fallout 4 like raiders because they're just like wearing cool shorts and like a freaking like little biker helmet.
I was thinking they look like the FF10 Albed a little bit.
It's Phase Psycom.
That'd be a cool cosplay.
The Huntresses are fucking bullshit because they immediately just have like a full 4 ATB bar somehow, even though they're not l'Cie, and as far as I fucking know, they don't have an Eidolon. Must be the mana drive or something. And then they can immediately cast 4 different buffs on their character at once. I'm like, dude, it takes me fucking like 2 turns of 2 ATB using
Dude,
things.
I just got here. Hold on.
The game's breaking the rules that it established, and I hate that.
Fang does have Dispel at this point, if you've learned it. Like, she has access to it. So that's how, I think how I took it on, and I tried to dispel them before I got going on them. But the other enemy is the fucking Psycom Destroyer. Fuck that guy. I hate that guy so much.
His gimmick is that he has a bazooka, and he is going to use a move called Bazooka, which is extremely annoying. I think they're not the ones that shoot the little tiny missiles at you that kind of stagger you to like prevent you from attacking. Because
I don't think so.
In combination with all of these things, and again, they're kind of just trickling out different enemy types where you fight the Huntress and you're like, oh, okay, I know her thing is that she does these buffs, so I need to do Dispel and this and that. And I remember at this point finding another enemy that we're going to talk about in a little bit, and I was just like, yo, it would really suck if there was that enemy with the Huntress, and then like at the end of a hallway there's 2 Huntresses and that enemy, and I was like, oh my God, I knew it. I knew they were going to do this to me.
It's atrocious. Like it's great in the way that like all of these enemies work in tandem with each other in incredibly frustrating ways, which like good on the game developers, right?
Good game design, because you learn everything that you need to know in these medium difficulty fights, I would say. Like you're not necessarily going to get game over, but you're like, oh, that's a little hairy. Like, oh, I hate this enemy, so I'll focus on them first. And then you get different combinations. You're like, fuck.
Just focus. Look, here's the thing. I never went wrong by killing the Destroyer first. Even if there was something that was like clearly more deadly and damaging and big and scary, kill the Destroyer first. I hate those guys so much.
I have gone completely wrong by not killing the Destroyer first, so I will say that is good advice.
Because they're so small. Like, they're small. They don't have a lot of HP or whatever. But Bazooka does like half of everyone's HP at once. Yeah. So you're like in what you think is a good situation, and then they just throw Bazooka and you're game over. Fuck you. It's like, oh, I hate these guys. Mm-hmm. Terrible. And you're worried about like the Huntress being like, well, I gotta take this Huntress out before they like completely buff themselves or fire, because like once they get going, they're hard to stop.
Yeah.
They take a little time to like ramp up, but once they're on your ass, they're on your ass. And so I'm like, well, let me take out the Huntress first, and then boom, Bazooka, you're dead. And I'm like,
I think it should also be pointed out that Dispel only works like one ailment per cast.
thing.
So it's not like Dispel and now you're gone. Like maybe there's a better version of Dispel that we'll get eventually, but it's like she's got 4 buffs on her. So you need to have Fang in that role for at least 4 like casts in order to get it. So that's, you spend a lot of time in that paradigm, and it's rough.
And for whatever reason, the AI for Fang will not queue up multiple Dispels at once.
Yeah.
She'll only do one at a time. Actually, maybe it's a 2 ATB thing and she only has 3. That could be. I'm not sure.
It's probably that, because later when we finally we get control of Saz again, I was doing like 2 things of bravery in a row because I was just so used to having only like 2 ATB bars that I was just like, oh, I spam this until I can get a different thing and cast it on Vanille. And then I was like, wait, I am losing a lot of time with doing it this way.
Yeah, it's...
So how about this hallway, y'all?
How about the inside of the Palamecia? It's very nice.
It is nice. It's very empty.
It's a little empty, but...
I spent a long time just avoiding fights running down this hallway if I could.
Really?
I guess, yeah, these are like hangars, I guess, so it would make sense that they would be empty.
Did you go, like, I know that the yellow arrow is telling you to go, like...
to the right down this hallway.
And I just went to the end of the hallway, and then just, you pop out right back in the landing deck, like, no!
Yep.
I did the same thing. thing.
Yeah, I was going to say, I fought all the enemies on the way out, went to the landing deck, saved, and then fought all the enemies on the way back in, too.
They respawn, that's right.
Yeah, because I was like, oh, it's more Crystarium points. I'll take those.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of grinding that can be done in this, because if you walk a certain distance away from an encounter, it'll refresh. So it'll be the same pairing of enemies and stuff, but you can kind of just do that over and over again. Might be worth doing to get like incentive chips or credit chips, and just obviously getting Crystagen points. But
you could buy
I don't think
so much strange fluid with that money.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know if it's really worth it in the long haul. I've had people in my chat.
There's a lot of shops in the Palamecia.
Yeah, I had people in my chat saying that it doesn't really seem to be worth grinding until like later game, like end game sort of. Like but you know, if you're down to grind and want to fill out your whole Crystarium before moving on, like that's a totally viable thing that you can do here.
I will say I didn't grind it all. I did this hallway twice because I left and I went all the way down the hallway and then came back. And most, if not all, of my characters had maxed out Crystariums by the time I went to the boss of this area.
Oh, interesting.
So like if you do all the fights and don't skip any, especially in the last hallway where there's like multiple paths, if you fight all of them, by the time you get to the end, you're right at the max out point where you're pretty much done.
I did not max out everything, but also later on in this, after playing this for like 2 hours or 2.5 hours or something and getting to a part where there's still a shit ton of enemies, I was like, you know what? I don't need to take down every enemy here. This is fucking ridiculous.
We're an hour 14 into the podcast right now, or at least according to how much time we've actually recorded. And usually we can take a 5-minute section of game and break it down into like 2 hours of podcast. The point where we are in this episode, I've been playing the game for like 2.5 hours at this point. There's a lot of enemies. There's a lot of fucking battles in this section. It's a lot.
My VOD at this point is at 45 minutes, and that also includes a 30-minute thing where my capture card crashed my stream. So I'm at like
no. Do y'all fight the Viking?
Yes, I love this thing.
What was the Viking?
It's a tilter.
Yes.
The Viking is the trans rights tilter, which is why I love it. As an enemy.
Oh, yeah, I get it.
Yeah, it's got kind of a salmon-y color to it.
Yeah, it's got like kind of a blue and like a pink going. It almost looks like the trans right colors, which is pretty cool.
Oh, you know, a lot of the enemies in this area do.
I avoided the Vikings entirely inside until I think I fought my first one once I was outside the Palamecia.
I was like very afraid of it when I saw it, but the first one that I ran into by accident while turning a corner, so I got a preemptive strike and just destroyed it. And I was like,
nice.
That's nice. And this is the enemy that I was like, yo, it would suck if there was a Huntress and one of these things, because like when you're fighting one by itself, very manageable, very easy. You can get slow on it. You can, buff your team up and all of that, take it out. When you have to like figure out target prioritization, like that's a huge problem. These things I think use what the like about would say about them. Use devastating fire attacks, but luckily at this point, if you've been leveling up Hope, he should have flame barrier or whatever it's called, like
bar fire.
Yeah, bar fire. So that really helps.
Also, we might have a few ember rings floating around.
That's
too,
exactly,
so
yeah.
I've been making sure to like kind of keep track of like what I have equipped, depending on what enemies are spitting out.
Yeah, this part is definitely like, okay, well, you need to think before each battle.
You actually might get another one in this area.
You get a spark ring around here, I think.
A spark ring. I think somewhere later in the chapter, I think there was like a second like ember ring or something like that.
Yeah, but a lot of these enemies have different kind of...
Susceptible slow, susceptible to deprotect and deshell. And poison.
I was going to say, actually, Fang has Sloga now, which I used a lot in this section. I would basically like throw Saboteur onto her for like a turn or two. She'll cast Sloga, and I was like, well, even if it doesn't hit everybody, just having some of the enemies be slower will help. And so I would just let her do it once or twice.
Way better than dedicating like 3 charges of slow to one specific enemy.
Yeah. And there's a lot of enemies. Like a lot of these battles have like 5-6 enemies.
Yeah, the one enemy, just the standard like Psycom Raider or whatever, the one annoying thing about them is that they can use guard, which just really...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you're basically fighting a sentinel, and it's just like, fuck, dude, I'm trying to stagger you, or I'm trying to, do some damage. Like, you're so close to being dead, and I gotta focus on this Huntress.
After we fight or avoid, like me, the first Viking, there is a item chest with a Pandoran spear or Pandorian.
Yeah.
Pandoran spear for Fang, which is a pretty cool weapon if you can get it upgraded enough. It has like it's higher on the strength, but it also adds 50 strength to your stats.
Oh, wow.
Adds 150 HP and improved debilitation.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah, improved debilitation with Sloga.
I immediately kind of worked towards improving that to a point where I can replace my current one.
You know what I
kind of love that. You kind of like in most video games you just immediately equip the new thing, but instead you're like, no, I gotta like upgrade this weapon before I feel comfortable using it, which is kind of, I mean, I kind of like that. You don't just immediately get a stronger thing. You kind of have to like work to make it stronger.
Yeah, there's been this is the chapter where I had been experimenting a little bit with the upgrading system, and there's certain weapons that I have where I've like upgraded them to level 6 or something, and I'm using them. And then I look at just like one of the first weapons that we got with them at like level 1 or like a recently acquired thing, and it is significantly better. And I'm like, oh yeah, I'm just going to use this and dump the upgrades into this right now because this thing, like, I need as much output. I need as much DPS as I can get.
You know what I really like about these hallways is how much of it is lit by natural light.
I do love the skylights. I noticed that as well, and I was like, I feel like I'm in like a nice mall that you look up and you're like, oh, it's a really nice skylight there.
It is. It's very nice. Like, I could imagine if you weren't like fighting to the death in here, like, it'd be very pleasant.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Well, a lot of mall energy coming off of FF13, really.
I think that's why I like it so much, honestly. The aesthetic is just all mall culture.
But once we get to the end of this hallway, we go back to Saz of Vanille. So do you think maybe that's where we should take a break?
I think we should take a break in the jail cell and await our execution.
Yeah,
we have successfully killed the 2 huntresses and the fucking. Oh yeah, that's where you get the Pandoran spear. After like you have to kind of, I think you have to take down that battle. I don't think you'll be able to get that without them noticing you. But
yeah, I did.
Oh, nice. Even better. Then, yeah, don't fight that, because that's just try hard shit to beat.
You'll fight the Viking eventually.
Yeah. All right, baby.
See you in a bit.
Okay, so dear listener, I regret to inform you that while Curtis was taking a poop, things have been elevated to a code green.
Code green,
now,
code green.
I know we were already in green. However, we're checking in with our friends who, presumably as the actions that we just completed happened, we're seeing what they were up to as that was happening, because...
Called parallel action.
Yeah, we got some parallax scrolling action happening right
Parallaction.
Parallaction. But we see the PSP or the PSTV monitors come like swooping down from the ceiling in a really cool way, and
there's our
like
gold
flip out. Yeah, theirs are gold and really nice, but the code green alert is going off and the screens are turning green.
Right.
Yeah. So we get code green. And yeah, the holding cell door opens up and it walks to Psycom folk and one of those Vespids, but they're like the new Vespids, so they're blue and kind of angrier looking, not like the green ones we saw in Capra.
Yeah.
And yeah, like the soldier's like, get up, you're being moved. On your feet, scum.
Which is like, I could be wrong, but I feel like this is in reaction to the fact that the Lassie are on board and fucking everything up. That they're like, okay, we need to put you somewhere more secure. So it's time to move. Yeah.
It's time for you guys to not be here, for your friends to break you out.
I forgot about this scene.
Oh my God, I love this scene so much.
We get to see the strongest character in the FF13 universe
Yes,
right
we
here
do.
finally pop off.
It is causing shaking in Eden or whatever.
Yeah, that's right.
But yeah, like it's like
get
on
it.
your feet, scum, going over to like and just yanks Vanille up, and then but Saz is in the corner, just kind of lax and just like
He's just fucking chilling, dude. He's relaxed.
Oh, he's
a
not
bit.
standing up at all.
It's like you too, and then like Saz under his breath just says, "Get him,"
And he flicks his head a little bit, and Chocobo chick just comes flying out, and like you can actually see on his face he's got like little mad eyes, and he's like going in for the kill, and it's so good. He just starts pecking the shit out of like,
staggers
the
him.
visor. Yeah,
It's
That's like the micro missiles that
stagger.
keep staggering me and killing me in this fucking part. And as that happens, Saz just tackles the guy into the other Psycom member, and that guy drops his gun, and then we see the Vespit kind of freaking out and like moving its tail all around. And Vanille, the second most powerful character in the
right.
Final Fantasy 13 universe, picks up her ultimate weapon, which is just the gun that the Psycom guy.
An automatic fucking rifle.
She has become gun Vanille, and she just unloads the clip on the fucking Vespit, and it dies.
It's like Godot back in the first chapter, just yelling and just mowing, just going fucking gun crazy.
In my notes, I just have Vanille killed someone with a gun.
So my question is, why isn't Vanille just doing this all the time? Do you know how many
Why
fucking
doesn't she just use a
ATB bars
gun?
I've had to use to kill this fucking thing? And she just, in a second, in less time it takes for my ATB to charge up at the beginning of a battle, she's just like, bruh, 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 bruh.
Just absolutely fucks it up. It's so good. And then like the dust is clearing from her like shooting like this fucking Vespid. And I love Saz's like, all right, it's time to split, not run. There's a difference. And I'm like, oh, it's great.
It's very cute. And she's just like, gotcha. And then Saz also has, I think he also has one of those guns. Oh yeah. I was like, I'm confused by that.
I guess
but
there's
no.
two soldiers, so I guess that makes sense that they would each
No,
have
I was
one.
thinking, I was like, why doesn't he just use his guns? But then there's like a quick establishing shot of Vanille and Saz, and it's kind of fading in and out of black. They're running down the hallway, and then they go to like a closet, and they're just coming out. Vanille has her staff that we were talking about that was in the vestige, and Saz has just got his guns back finally.
Once again, Vanille just leaves a gun behind that she could easily use.
She did so much more damage with that thing, man. Like,
Is Vanille shooting the gun a callback to when she had a gun before?
I don't
Or
know.
is it just a thing that happened?
She should have said bang. But yeah, we come out of like, I guess, just like a place where they keep all their weapons, like a storage closet.
the Flanator's closet.
The
The Flanator's closet.
Scruffy the Flanator.
But she says, do I deserve to escape? And Saz says, what? You'd rather die? Because that's got to scare you. It scares me so much. I think I might die of fright. And I'm like, he's starting to come back around. Like, he's got hope again. He thinks maybe Dodge isn't just, a crystal forever. And he's warming up again. And he's trying to cheer up Vanille, which is very nice to see.
Yeah.
So, I push myself to live even harder. I can just imagine Dodge laughing at me talking this nonsense. Right now, I'd do anything to see that smile.
And I was like, well, good news, Saz. I believe there's going to be a monument where you can look at his smile anytime you want, because he was smiling real big in that crystal prison that he's in.
You can take a photo op with the child.
Incredible.
Yeah. But Saz says, stay positive, right?
Gotta stay
That is-
positive.
That's the end of that. And then we are in control of Saz and Vanille.
I think we got that cool music that was playing when we were fighting the two like demigods in the, in the forest. or
Yeah.
whatever.
the slapstick comedy duo, Saz and Vanille, when they're sneaking around.
Just can't catch a break or whatever it's called.
Yeah, that's right. And then and so we get to like level up the Crystarium. They learn a couple new skills. They've been getting all the CP that the rest of the team has been getting as we go through this section.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
And set up all our parents.
I do want to just say again that I love that system so much. Like it's
real nice.
There's no real need for like meaningless grinding.
I agree.
With the amount of back and forth it has.
And we're introduced to a new enemy. We see an old enemy and a new enemy in this. So the Flanators are here, but there's also the Flanborg.
The Flanborg are just flans that have a bunch of guitar amp tubes sticking out of their heads and they're glowing green like glow sticks.
Yeah. I mowed through them pretty fast. I don't know if they have super interesting.
Yeah, I don't know what the thing is with them, honestly, because I also just kind of mowed through them really, really quickly.
Yeah, they're not bad, especially because like,
I think they're just like
Saz
attack
haste.
Flanators, like attack flans that, you know, when paired up with Flanators that can heal them, makes it a little more difficult. But
well, more HP. It looks like they are immune to electricity and weak to water, so they're less of a neutral type than the Flanator. They also employ powerful lightning-based attacks.
Yeah, they have the pacifying shock, which is kind of annoying, and basically it just breaks your chain. Like if you're in the middle of an animation and it does the pacifying shock, then you have the stagger animation, and then you have to kind of cool down a little bit before you can get off the rest of your animation. So just puts a little break in the battle in the same way that like the missiles do that I keep complaining about because they fucked me up a bunch this episode.
When I saw the name, I thought it was Flansburgh, as in like a name, like John Flansburgh, the guitarist from They Might Be Giants.
Oh yeah, someone in my chat mentioned that exact joke, and I was like, I do not understand the reference because I do not know those musicians by name.
Yeah, it's John and John.
Yeah, John and John. It was what Linnell or something.
Linnell and Flansburgh.
Yeah.
But that's these two. We got a Triangle Man and Flanberg.
Triangle Man and Particle Man. They don't get along. Yeah. So. What was I gonna say? Oh yeah, Saz also has like haste now too. So like if you're using the ATB, yeah, he can cast haste, which fucking owns.
Oh, you know what? I think I unlocked that last time, and I got very excited about that, and then I don't think I've ever used it at all.
So what I did was I actually put it on my initial paradigm, like not the top one, but you know how you can like make one of your lower ones. Yeah. So I put Saboteur Synergist as my default setting, and I just throw 2 hastes immediately for the opening, and then let Vanille cast like an Imperil on somebody, and then switch to my Rav or Rav Commando, and like you can just mow through these battles because you are going so fast, and you're getting the ATB refresh. You're like unstoppable in this section. Oh yeah, this is really nice.
Oh, I wanted to note that I know you mentioned like a few episodes ago that Lightning doesn't do like the rifle thing anymore.
She does now, I guess.
Yeah,
right?
she
She does now.
again.
I noticed it's more common if you have 4 ATB bars, and this applies to Saz as well.
Mm-hmm.
So
he has
when you have, I think if you have like 4 attacks in a row, he has like
the Voltron
a few different
gun.
animations he does. So like it's kind of a thing where like each section of the ATB bar is like his own animation. So he does like one in the front, one with his like on one leg, one behind the back, and another one, and then like in the 4th one it changes into a rifle, and then
he like
you actually hear it
clips
transform
the gun into a rifle.
It also takes a lot longer than the other.
Yeah. I noticed the same thing for Lightning, where if she gets 4 attacks in a row, she also does like the pistol thing as she's flipping away too. She like, shoots off a few shots. It's kind of like it's less common, I guess, when you only have 3 ATBs to get that kind of the special.
I kind of want to go back and revert to a save back in Palamecia and see Lightning's machine gun animation that we don't get to see for the rest of the game.
I was trying to figure out like the best way to get off attacks fast enough in like Commando of just doing attacks, and I was like, maybe doing 3 attacks and then Ruin would be faster with Lightning. It didn't seem to be the case. I think the only time it might be is maybe if Ruin moves faster than the bullet and you're at a certain distance away or something, but I'm not even really sure. But yeah, I think a nice thing with that is with the backflip, you can actually dodge some attacks and stuff.
Oh, neat.
So there was some like devastating attacks that I was about to get hit by, and I was like, oh nice, it didn't hit me at all. And it was like, oh yeah, it's because I was doing the backflip.
that is cool. That rules.
We there's a chest here that we can get a royal amulet in, and that just level 1 right out the box. It's physical and magic resistance up by 5% each.
Awesome.
Cool. I think I gave that to Vanille.
I immediately put it on Vanille because I just
what I did
unlocked an accessory slot for her, and I also recently got Dispel for her, which is very necessary, especially against like the Huntress type enemies.
In this section there are like large, what would you call them? Not doors. There's actually a name for them. Bullheads? Is it? What are they called?
Bulkheads.
Bulkhead. The bulkhead doors, I guess.
Bulkhead falsate.
Blast doors. I don't know. We're in the cargo wing, regardless.
Yeah, and these like large doors that impede progress, right? You have to go like press a button to open them. But it's like a biometric button, right? It's like a handprint button. And like Saz is like, all right, I got this. And he puts his hand on it and it opens. And I was like, no, they're biometrics. They would not recognize his fingerprints.
He's a civilian pilot. He can activate anything.
I mean, he's able to activate it from far away too. So I'm guessing it's just a normal, like, just keypad thing.
I guess so. I was just like, wait, because I think it has like a print of a hand on there. So I was just like, hold on.
He has MTA card from the Psycom he picked up and just
Yeah, he's always been like a pilot, and they just never got around to like taking him out of the system, much like my security at my job.
Or it's like those keys that they have to like vending machines, which are like there's only like 3 kinds of that key, and you can just like open up anything if you have one of them.
Yeah, the IT that Sanctum hired doesn't get paid enough, so they really are just kind of phoning it in. They're like, fuck it. But we get to see Vanille and Saz run through one of these bulkheads, and we see the code has changed to a code purple, which is now a cool purple screen. And
red, green, purple is the escalation this far.
Yeah, I love how the further we get in, it's just like
Commando. I'm trying to remember like
medic,
Commander, medic, Ravager.
Yeah.
Actually, that'd be really funny if that's just the reason why they're going down that way. But yes, it's code purple. I repeat, code purple. Security breach. All units on alert.
Yeah, and Saz says, looks like we ain't the only ones cleaning house. It could be Lassie. And Vanille says, could be Fang. Come on, let's hurry.
Let's go get rescued, he says.
Yeah, Saz says, let's go get rescued. And Vanille says, no, not this time. For once in my life, I am going to save her.
It's cute.
Yeah, and Saz is like, all right, now you're talking. Let's go. Like we're fully amped up and ready to take back fate.
And then back to Alpha Team, I guess. Because it's our main.
Because Lightning is the alpha.
Now that we are
the moms.
17 episodes or whatever into this season, we will finally start calling teams by their proper names, like Alpha Team. And it'll be helpful moving forward beyond this part of the game when we will have to differentiate between the different party members as teams.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of the split up. We got the Sid team and the Dream Team, because
the prisoners
and the team and the Dream Team.
One went to the City of Dreams and one hung out with Sid.
We got it's the mommy team and the daddy team, because we have Lightning and Saz.
Yeah, well, you got Fang. Fang is also kind of mommy.
That's true.
For sure. Speaking of Fang and mommy, as this is all going on, the code purple, we see it from our other friends, and Hope says, all these colors, what does it mean? And Fang says, means we're doing our job, making a lot of SciComm guys nervous. And Hope says, who are they fighting? And Fang just says, Vanille.
That's cool.
Wait, so we don't... Who's the code actually for?
I don't know. It could just be like a concurrent
both.
thing.
I think they're probably just like, yo, shit's getting real bad real quick. Like,
it'd just be funny, like, oh, I guess it means like we're not, someone else is in trouble.
Yeah.
But
I know that it is
like, I wonder who that's for.
I know that it is a JRPG trope or whatever, and like I don't know if it's like good or bad writing, quote unquote, but it always works for me where like the bad guy sets a trap. Oh, they have to come into our castle, and I'm like, look, I'm in the JRPG party. We're gonna fuck your castle up.
Yeah, your castle is not gonna be long for this world.
So many guys are dying.
I'm gonna destroy like 100 different guys in your castle. It's gonna be insane.
You have respawning enemies in this castle. I'm gonna kill them all and just level up so I can kill you.
Chrono Trigger where like the guy's like, there's over 100 enemies in this castle. And I'm like, well, there's about to be 100 dead bodies in this castle. So like, sorry.
Yeah, like imagine like the higher ups just like laying out the plan. Like, okay, here's the plan. We're gonna lure them in. They're gonna kill all of you. But they're gonna
kill everyone on the ship until they get to me, and then I'm gonna go fucking nuts and fuck them up. Sir, they're on the ship. We could just blow them out of the sky right now. We're on the Palamecia. No.
Sir, we could simply lock the doors so that none of them can open, and then we are fine.
No, we're gonna let them on.
It's like, okay, they got out of the prison, but they're still in our sky ship that is currently in the sky, and there is no escape from... I mean, I guess that ends up being not true as well. But regardless, it's like, just lock the doors, dum-dums.
Yeah, we like there was a locked door at the beginning, and like that was the only one.
It's like, I broke out of my cell, but I'm still in the prison. Like,
yeah, like they locked the door from the landing platform into that hallway, but once we circumvented that, they were like, well, they got past it once, I may as well just not lock any of the doors, frankly.
Yeah, we better unlock them all. Like, it's good logic.
Poor Psychom.
So anyway, we continue our reign of terror.
Yeah, we continue our reign of terror into a room that is certainly not terrifying to us specifically with some of these encounters that we get.
I like that Basie is continuing right from where we left off.
Yeah, we can run back and fight the Huntress and the Viking and stuff again.
The item chest with Fang's weapon still there if you didn't open it yet.
Yeah.
But we get into like this cool... I mean... These next few areas in this chapter are cool because there's like multiple ways to navigate. I
love them.
Because we're like, I don't know, it's a big opening area with these like kind of concentric circling paths.
If you're me, the correct way to navigate them is to do the outer ring and then move to the middle ring and then move to the inner ring, because all of them have to be defeated. I need those Crystarium points.
But the thing about it, Curtis, is they respawn.
They do. I don't know if it's a time or distance thing, because
it's a
the outer
thing,
ring,
I'm pretty sure.
Well, I was gonna say I did the outer ring, and when I came back, they hadn't respawned. Like I was like,
right,
oh,
so
maybe
it's
they
when
all
you
just
go into the next ring. I think that's
maybe. Yeah,
I'm pretty sure that's how it works.
Okay,
I think I got confirmation on that, but but there's some difficult fights here. There's some chests and everything, and I want to.
There's like 3 Viking fights where we fight 3 Vikings.
That one is rough. Yeah.
I think I was able to actually just run by those 3 Vikings.
Yeah, you can definitely just run past a lot of this. But if you want to get like the items and stuff,
they're all susceptible to slow, like pretty decently. So usually you can just start out with the slow good and hit all 3 at once, which is what I was doing. And then once you have the first Viking down, cake, like it's easy.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but you just gotta get through the 3. So you just gotta take it kind of slow. And actually, you know what's funny? Is I was having shorter fights because I got a preemptive on one of them, and it was a longer fight than my non-preemptive fight, because the I swear, I know somebody said it, but like the preemptive stagger gauge is very fast. Like it drains quickly, so you don't have a lot of time to actually rack up that damage, and then you have to stagger them again. So I think it ended up being like slightly faster to just not preempt them and just like start from the beginning.
I struggled with this. I got a couple of game overs, and at one point I was just like, okay, fuck this. I don't want to get another game over. I'm going to summon Odin. And I still got a game over after summoning Odin. I was like, well, damn.
I forgot what I did that on. It wasn't this fight, but I did that in this chapter where I was like, all right, time to bring out the big guns. It's Odin time. Went through the whole like normal Eidolon version, and then I went into Gestalt mode. Did all that stuff, came out of it, and I was like, well, you did like 1/8 of the HP damage to every character on screen, but like I'm not in any better position than I started.
It's better to just kind of focus on one of them and try and like get one of them killed, and then just kind of whittle them down. It doesn't really save
you time with all the Odin, like make all the Gestalt nonsense. It just like it doesn't really save you time.
The unskippable cutscene of Odin spawning in for the millionth time that you've seen it.
It's not unskippable.
Is it not unskippable? I thought it was.
You can skip it.
Ooh, that's good news for me.
It actually shows up in your in the data log that you can skip them.
Oh, nice.
There's these Thermodons, the new
scaly beasts.
Yeah, they're just orange and glowy and look like a pine cone, gold pine cones.
Yeah, they have the photon burst.
I love that their reverse scales like tremor.
I do, yeah.
It's such a cool little effect.
Did we say before that they look like a bloomin' onion?
Oh no, we didn't. But
because they look like a bloomin' onion.
Bloomin'.
Y'all want to go out after the podcast, get a bloomin' onion and Outback Steakhouse?
Always. I'm always down for that. Get some nice cocktails.
Oh, I forgot to ask Stronk if they have Outback Steakhouse.
They do not. They do not. I know
they
this
just have
because
steakhouse.
A friend of mine has a pretty successful TikTok, and he brought his boyfriend, who is from Australia, to an Outback Steakhouse and kind of filmed his reaction to it, and it was very funny. You can look it up. It's I'll tell you, and you can link it in the episode. But yeah, my buddy Chris, he owns a beignet truck in LA. That
what's beignet?
Oh, a beignet is a pastry from like Louisiana, kind of like a donut. It's I don't know. They're very
powdered
good.
thing?
They're dough that you fry up and you put powdered sugar on top of them, and they're really good. I worked on that beignet truck one day in my life, and it was very nice. It was very pleasant.
Beignet in the jets.
That sounds great.
Yeah. I like the way that these guys turn into little salamanders when you get rid of their
They
scales.
get kind of cute.
Yeah, they're little cute little lizards.
With Fang and Lightning just juggling this lizard.
Yeah, it's really good.
I also
timed it perfectly where like Fang was just finishing as Lightning was completing her ATB bar, so it's great when you get that like synchrony.
I was doing that quite a bit. I had like Hope as Ravager and then Commando, and just the way that it worked out with like the speed of everything, I guess because of the 3 ATB bars versus the 4, it was just constantly like there were multiple times where I just had the constant juggle of right when Fang was done, then Lightning would do it, and then Hope, and it's so satisfying when you get that.
The only thing I miss having access to, because we only have Lightning, Hope, and Fang, even though Snow's there, is that we don't have access to Tri-Disaster because Fang doesn't have Ravager.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, I want Tri-Disaster so bad.
Yeah, Tri-Disaster would do some damage
so
here.
quick.
I feel like they had to have been like, oh, okay, well, let's try to let Snow be a part of this. And then it's like, well, this level is actually pretty difficult, as it should be in terms of the story. But if we have 3 Ravagers, it's just way too easy.
Hope doesn't have Saboteur, right? Or does he?
He has Synergist.
Yeah, he has Synergist. There's a couple chests in here. There's a lot of encounters. Yeah. Some of them are very dicey, like the 3 Vikings. But you know, not really too much to say other than that there are some huntresses and stuff. I'm trying to see what was in there was like a white cape accessory, which I forget what it does. And a pain dampener, which someone pointed out, and it makes a lot of sense. A pain dampener doesn't necessarily make too much sense, because if someone gets into pain status, you could just Asuna it away. Versus the other one, where it's fog. You definitely want to have protection from fog, because you're not going to be able to use Asuna. That's what the white cape does. Yeah, the white cape is the fog one.
It's this fog resistance.
Yeah, so, you know, if you get fog, and the only medic that you have that knows Asuna is fogged, you just kind of got to wait for it to go away. Oh, and if it's Vanille, she can't do anything because all of her stuff is magic.
The website that I used for our FF1 season, Gamer Corner Guides or whatever, actually has a lot of FF13 information, and it has all the experience cost for every level of every weapon and accessory, like prominently displayed. That actually would be very nice, because then you would never have to like waste any experience when you're leveling up a accessory.
Yeah.
Oh, I think I'm on that site right now too.
There's a lot of good pathing that you can do with that, which they very much make use of in the speed run, kind of just optimizing the amount of materials that you have, and you sell a lot of your accessories or weapons that you're never going to use to get gil to do really early leveling up and everything. So it's very impressive.
Sure, yeah.
So then we kind of shift gears over to Mommy Jill, and kind of see her.
Indeed, we do.
She's seeing colors.
Yeah. Back where we last saw her in like the Star Trek bridge with a bunch of people kind of just circled around.
Can we stop? I'm so sorry. I
sure,
apologize.
No. Go right
Only because I'm seeing it. Okay. I told Alex and Carl this before the podcast, but I was very naughty, and I went and read a bunch of FF13 lore or whatever beforehand. And a thing that kept popping up is this symbol that I've never noticed in the game. And like, it was like, oh yeah, if you just look in every area of FF13, you'll just see this symbol all over the place. And I'm watching the fight with the 3. I'm watching a walkthrough of the fight with the 3 Vikings. And it's just the whole floor. It just has this one symbol splashed across it or whatever. And like I read that this is in like every area of the game. You just have to kind of like look for it and see it or whatever. Not every area, but like in a lot of areas and on a lot of things. And the doors have it. And like it's all over the place now that I'm like looking for it.
Is it the cocoon emblem?
No, it's the same. It's like I was saying earlier. It's the same, or not on the podcast earlier. It's the same dimensions as like the Vestige and like Kujata and a bunch of stuff, like where it's like wide at the top and then roundly
I
tapers.
thought it was the Cocoon brand because it matches like Dodge's brand, so I thought it was like associated with Cocoon.
Oh, it is. Okay. But yeah. I thought you meant when you said Cocoon, I was thinking like the like Sarah's
not the planet,
necklace or something.
Yeah, I'm seeing that there as
shape
well. I'm
talking about like the brand symbol that we see from.
I
associate
see
Cocoon because of Dodge, and I think we've seen it around.
That's important. Okay, sorry. Continue. I just saw it. I was like, oh, there it is. I did the Leonardo DiCaprio point or whatever.
But yeah, it's all over the Palamecia.
Yeah, that's awesome.
But yeah, and it's also behind Daisley.
Oh, is it really? I
yeah,
didn't notice that either.
Yeah, jumping ahead. But yes,
sorry.
Back into the war room, I guess, or whatever. Was the situation room at this point?
It's the Pauly D room, actually. He's the good one.
This is Sports Center. This is the Sports Center.
It says they call an operator. Is one of the guys at the computer. Is like, Colonel, we've lost the intruders.
Colonel,
and Nabat's like, Colonel, we've lost the intruders. But Nabat's like, that means we're code yellow. No, wait. Code blue? If we were orange, that would mean like it's just like kind of pacing around, and she's taking off her glasses because she's got to think, I guess.
I will say this.
It's like when you turn down the radio to Parallel Park.
I do feel a little bit like I feel like they did like you know how like a lot of the main characters and a lot of the good guys especially have these like nice arcs that go places or whatever. Mm-hmm. I feel like they did just kind of shift gears on Jill real fast, where like all the scenes we've seen with her thus far build her up to be like this very stoic, calculating, cruel badass. And then immediately when things just go wrong, she's just like, oh, I don't know what I'm doing.
So I think
it's very goofy.
I mean, I would be flustered if the Pope was there too, honestly.
Yeah. I think it's also just she seems very much like an orderly type of person where it's like, I never have to worry about XYZ because I always have a plan for XYZ. We have all these different codes. We have red.
She always has the upper hand, but when she doesn't have the upper hand, she's freaking, yeah.
I just feel like
red,
it was like
green, we have
not
purple.
Quite earned yet or whatever, where I was like,
we've only met her for like, one cutscene for the most part. I guess 1.5, I guess.
But you gotta read that chapter first, Curtis, in that book that you got.
Yeah, right.
But I really like this where it just kind of shows like the decay of like the bureaucracy of the sanctum, where like she's like, oh wait, no, does this mean we're in yellow and stuff? And it's like it doesn't fucking matter what process you have or what kind of like what you're defining this particular thing as. Like it doesn't matter if it's yellow, it doesn't matter.
All our shit's fucked.
Shit's fucked. Just deal with the problem at hand. Stop trying to like compartmentalize it into like a nice neat package so that you can go with a certain like plan. Just fucking fix it. Like it's very like corporate. Like I feel like corporations do that a lot, like working in kind of a business capacity where they're like, oh, well, you need to go through this process to do this before you can even think about doing that. And it's like, or I could just fucking fix this thing right now and take care of it.
You see, they're a union and they have to like do things a very certain way.
Man,
she could just, yeah.
You went the complete opposite direction of my corporate analogy.
The escapees made it through. They're entering the engine room.
No, damn Lassie.
And she like throws down her glasses. I think she might even step on them or whatever. You hear them crunch.
She crunches them, yeah.
No way, she crushes them in her hand and tosses them down. So she's flying blind now.
Yeah, the operator goes, intruders located. They're on their weather deck, starboard side. And she goes, make it rain.
Yeah.
And then, quietly, like to himself, the Primarch is like...
Or he's one of those guys, like, with his characters who can speak at any volume and everyone always hears him.
Oh, maybe.
He's just like, I bless the rains down in Africa.
Desperate times demand flexibility. Code white.
And when he says that, all like the panels and the electronics in the command center like light up, right? And I was like, "Whoa, he has powers!"
Yeah,
white. This again, and then Vice comes out. But yeah, we see like an engine room or something. It's like a big Orbis. Orbis?
It is a big Orbis for sure.
If it's anything, it's a big Orbus.
Yeah, it's a Chungus, but it's an orb.
And yeah, we see that it is powering down, right?
Yeah, it's a big glowing. I mean, it reminds me of like, I don't know, the energy core or something. I mean, speaking of like Dirge of Cerberus, it reminds me of like the giant core of like underneath Reactor Zero or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, Saz and Vanille have just entered the, I guess, supposed engine room, and they're like noticing like, oh,
primary engine room is the name of it.
Yeah, but we're hearing like over the intercoms like, bridge to engine room. We're losing thrust. Engine room, do you copy? So like, Daisley has done something that is completely like catching everyone else on the deck off guard. Like, what the fuck's happening? Why is the ship powering down?
Oh, he shut down the ship.
Put it in park.
Put it in park.
It's fine. He put it in neutral. It's fine.
Yeah, and Saz says, the power's down. What's going on? And then we're allowed to run around this area, which I thought was funny.
Another concentric area that we can
The layout is like exactly the same as when we were in the Vile Peaks with Saz and Vanille, where it's like one inner ring and one outer ring, and I was like,
a big power plant.
This is just a copy pasted.
Yeah, they know this already. That's fine.
Yeah,
it's very lucky that they placed the prisoner Lassie that they brought there on the wing that has the easier to deal with enemies and the different structures that two people could easily fight and not really have too much of a problem with, whereas the other party is on the part where it's just a ship filled with very difficult enemies. Like, I'm glad it worked out that way and not the other way around.
We're on the cool side of the ship.
Well, I'll say, with the single exception of the battle that's in the very middle of this room.
Yes,
I actually avoided them completely.
I accidentally won that one. When
I
was
avoided
trying
every single unmandatory battle in this scene.
Oh, I was like, I'm going to take.
The weird thing about this one is that I don't know what the point of beating it is. Like, there's no chest or anything there. There's good loot. Like, geez, at least give me some like enigmatic fluid or something. Like I think you do get some decent like CP from it, and I don't know, like maybe good loot drops or something. But
you get the satisfaction of soul in knowing that you beat 3 Vespids and a Thermodon.
Yeah, with Saz and Vanille alone.
Yeah.
There is an item in here. What is that?
How did you
and
end
the thing
up
about the
beating
fucking
that?
Vespids is that they can cast Ariora or whatever, or Ariaga, and like
Areola.
It does so much fucking damage, and it takes you out. Like when you're being hit by one of the arrow spells, especially one of these, you're not building ATB and not attacking for like the length of time it takes to charge an ATB all the way up. Like, it's a long time.
It's
just have to sit there
essentially
and
a free launch for them.
Yeah.
You're just like suspended in air, not able to do anything. And when you
there's
only have
3 of them.
Yeah, when you only have 2 characters, that's a really, really difficult thing.
Yeah, and it does a lot of damage too, so you can get like locked into it real quick, like where they just like boom 1 2 3 1 2 3, and there's just nothing you can do, and they'll just kill you. And like,
how did you end up beating it? What was your strat?
I don't remember. I think I did it 2 or 3 times and just said, let's just take as many of these fucking Vespids out as I can as fast as I can. A couple battles, I definitely like went by the skin of my teeth, and if I lost, I was just like, well, I'll probably make it this time. And then I'd try like 2 or 3 times, and then one time I would skate by and be like, that's the one.
Nice,
and then I would start taking it seriously. So
I won mine by accident.
Really?
I did, yeah. So what happened was I somehow managed to get a preemptive strike on it. I think I did a retry, and it was before they like refreshed to be alerted that I like went into the battle again. And my plan was, okay, preemptive strike, I'm going to start out with Quake. And then when I went to go and select Quake, since I wasn't used to having the Eidolon there for Saz, I went to Libra, and I was like, no, I don't need to do Libra. Okay. Let me do Quake. And I accidentally hit Brunhilde and accidentally summoned that, and that just destroyed the fight. Like, it was like preemptive
really? Okay.
plus Brunhilde, and I was just like, oh, okay, well then I win. And I was like, that feels cheap. I feel like I want to go back and experience it like more. This was after game overing a couple of times against like an actual try, and I went back and just immediately died again, and I was like, yeah, I'm walking away from this one. I don't care. That's not worth it. Like, I saw what it gets you, and it gets you nothing, so fuck it.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I avoided most of everything in here. There are some like chests with like segmented carapaces, which are the drops of Thermodons. I guess just more crafting stuff.
Yeah.
Probably like a Phoenix Den or something, unless it's somewhere else.
Speaking of
I think there's a Phoenix down like right before like an upcoming boss at some point, and I was like, oh, that'll be helpful.
Speaking of battles that I game overed on, when we get to the end of this area,
we have a mandatory cutscene fight.
Yeah, basically
Which
like
we get cornered by a Vespid and a Thermodon, right?
they finally figured it out, and they just locked the door and didn't let them through. And so yeah, it's funny because Vanille and Saz turn around and they see like 2 Thermodons and 3 Vespids, a whole bunch of like enemies coming at them. And then you get into a fight with just 1 Vespid and 1 Thermodon. And I died on this battle, and I was very disappointed in myself. I was like, come on.
Saving their best for last.
I will say Brynhilde has a really good like ultimate what's it called? Like, you know, you hit the triangle and you do all for the Gestalt. It's I probably pronounce it wrong. Moosepell Flame, where, you know, she turns into the car and starts like whipping around with Saz in there. You get a shot from inside the car with Saz like cheering on, being like, woo, and stuff. And as that's happening, it zooms out at one point and Saz just goes flying out of the car as Brunhilde jumps up and transforms back into like her, like, you know, more person type form. And then Saz just kind of like slowly flops onto the ground. Like, really funny.
Need some Eurobeat.
Yeah, exactly. Speed is speed, boy. Gasoline's burning.
That's awesome. That's that. And then they're kind of like stuck in that room, aren't they?
Yep, and then that's where they died.
That's where they die. The end. Thanks for joining us.
So, yeah, we're going to be ending the episode here. Another episode where we're ending with Saz dying because he's trapped in this room with these enemies coming slowly at us, and it's very, very, very scary.
The Flan.
The Flanator finally gets his revenge.
Told you, these guys are union.
True, yeah.
Well played, Flanders.
Flanators just go, it's a living.
Oh, I love them. They're kind of cute.
Oh, I absolutely love the Flanator.
But
I like the little Flamberg too. He looks like a crudité, like a little celery sticking out.
Crudité. A la mode. I'm talking ice cream on the side.
I do love that like things are like ramping up right now. Like this is like the most action packed any of the episodes have been thus far. I feel like
there's a lot happening. We're just like running into like, you know, we're running headfirst into like biggest Pope mobile in the universe.
Yeah. I like the kind of tonal shift that we've had too, because like the whole game has been very desperate and kind of a downer, like especially like the last couple chapters where we've had like Saz and Vanille like going through their emotional moment. We have Hope and Snow about to kill each other, right? And like it's fun to be like, ooh, our 2 groups of parties are like locked in, they're together, they're kicking ass. It's a nice day outside, you know, like everybody's hanging outside, not a single cell phone in sight. It's incredible. So like I like the energy that like this episode has, especially in contrast to the first like half of the game.
I feel like I can hear friend of the show Corey talking about this specifically right now and basically saying like, yeah, the entire premise of the game up until this point was just, you know, the desperation of only being able to move forward and having no control. Now we're finally starting to get more control over things, and it's like being reflected in the story as well, where not only are we, you know, pushing forward into this obvious, quote unquote, obvious trap that's happening, but like Jill is like freaking out because it's like not going according to plan, and she's like, oh shit, they're actually like
we finally got them on the back foot.
They're actually, the mad lads are actually doing it. And so like it's very empowering in that way.
I'm sure that empowerment and sense of control will last.
Oh, of course, yeah.
Yeah,
you just gotta go and
great.
you know, capture an old man. What's he gonna do?
What's he gonna do? No big deal.
Name one JRPG where a pope has ever been something hard that you had to fight. Name one Final Fantasy game where a pope was hard to fight.
I'm trying to think of a JRPG where there was like a popish figure who was not the bad guy.
Yeah, when are they gonna add the Pope class?
Like when has there been like the head of a large religious establishment that did not end up being like,
you know, the popes have had it rough. I think that's about time they had their I think that's about time they had their due.
I haven't watched that show, The New Pope, but I've heard it's quite good.
It's like new metal.
Every time I see people talking about it, I just think of the Whitest Kids You Know skit about the new Pope, where there's a video that the old Pope leaves for the new Pope. And he's like, so if you're seeing this, it means I'm dead, which is a big bummer. But I'm going to help you how to be a new Pope. And he just starts talking about, like, he's like, what they tell you when you become the Pope is you get a lifetime supply of root beer. But what they don't tell you is that a lifetime supply is not the same as an unlimited supply. And then like the guy just fast forwards through it and you just see the guy talking for like a couple more minutes and he's like, so then I got to go down to the vending machine in the vestibule and I have to walk by people and be like, oh, bless you, son, bless you, son. And then I got to take out some quarters and get my own rupee. Do you know how embarrassing that is?
That's incredible.
We're on Pope Watch for next week.
Pope Watch. All right. Well,
you guys got anything going on?
Oh, do we have anything going on? Zaku's starting to record our first album, like full length album this week. So that'll be exciting. You can look forward to that in I don't know, March. It'll probably take a while. So
yeah,
whatever.
We'll see. We'll see.
We
shall see. I don't know. I applied to be in some speedrunning marathons coming up in January. Nothing to report yet. I don't know if I got in. I'm hoping to get into one, which is MagFest, because I will be at MagFest. And aside from getting to run in person, which would be super cool, and getting to run Dark Souls, which would be super cool, it would also mean that I would get reimbursed for my ticket to MagFest, which would be really nice because MagFest is fucking expensive and just getting a room anywhere close to there is expensive. But
I doubt it. I wonder if I could run at MagFest, only because like I also have other duties while I'm there, so like it'd have to be like a very specific time frame where I don't have to do anything else. But like, hey, can we chop out 8.5 hours for me to do FF8? Let's go.
I'll do commentary for you, baby.
All right. The whole time we're just like, yo, isn't this the best one?
And by that, I would probably just be like there for an hour and then be like, oh, I'm going to go check out the arcade. I'll be back in 2 hours. But yeah, that's it.
Good.
Yay.
Alex, get him.
That's a good one. All right. Thank you, Masashiyama Uzu. Yeah, I think Defiers of Fate has just started playing as we're like, it's the cool drum and bass track.
Oh, it does. Like, so it does. I wrote it in my notes. I was like, the techno returns.
Yeah, we get some more scenes of like the battle music persisting throughout the entire area that we're running through, which is always good.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Yeah. And if you'd like to support us, rate, review, and subscribe to us on iTunes and Spotify. You can also listen and subscribe to us on YouTube.
Thank you so much to everybody who's been leaving comments on our YouTube. There has been some incredibly insightful comments on there. You know who you are. Thank you so much.
Thanks for the deep lore.
The deep lore.
You can text us or leave us a message at 530-MATERIA. And you can find us at EveryFNFF on Twitter, Instagram, and hop in our Discord. And as a son of a podcaster, he would have lived in shame and misery. Better he be treated with reverence as a monument to sacrifice.
All right, goodbye.
Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.